Walking through the setbacks, you can't win them all, but I'm proud I tried. Glad we had a dialogue. It's good to shape the mind, speeding up the pace, turning. Ta-da! We are live. Welcome back to another episode of Two Bookdragons. I am Saurabh Sharma, Divya Anandani, और आज हम करने वाले हैं बुक द साइलेंट पेशेंट. स्क्रीन पे भी ज्यादा बड़ी है. हमें बहुत आगे ही जाना पड़ेगा स्क्रीन पे बड़ी है पहले से. Yeah, Two Bookdragons back with only Two Bookdragons. Special guest ने धोखा दे दिया. This is shout out. You need to comment more for our special guest to come more.
Yes. She was not happy with the response we gave her last time.
Can't help. नहीं आप कर लो पहले.
नहीं
तब तक मैं बिजी रखता हूँ क्राउड को. कोई बात नहीं. हाँ.
अरे भाई तुम्हारे व्यूज पर.
Okay. Yeah. So this week हमने The Silent Patient को दोबारा से पढ़ा and
तुमने पढ़ी थी पहले?
हाँ. मुझे याद नहीं थी ना ठीक से.
ये मेरी फर्स्ट टाइम थी.
मेट्रोस में जाता था तो मैं साइलेंट पेशेंट ही पढ़ता था ना. When I told you थोड़ा बीच में. And then you said कि दूसरी बुक करनी है तो I started reading that 40 Rules of Love. I'm so hardworking person. Yes. So okay मैंने भी चालू रखा हुआ है ना. ये स्ट्रीम चालू करो, कमेंट करो, पता लगना चाहिए कि कोई देख रहा है. It is not fair if we don't realize that somebody is watching us, and that is very important. So jumping अपनी प्रथा को शुरू करते हुए सबसे पहले कवर की बात करते हुए द साइलेंट पेशेंट के कवर के बारे में आप क्या कहना चाहेंगे?
मैं देखा ही नहीं था. It's very doctory sort of a thing. Like इसको पढ़ के and then if you read, if you are in the book genre, you know that it's a psychological thriller. So yeah, I mean it's intriguing at best, and I think around 2019 इस book को काफी hype भी किया गया था, and it's a very recognizable cover because of how much it was hyped. I don't think they have any other covers.
मैंने भी नहीं देखा.
मैं जहाँ पे भी देख रही हूँ just this cover. So I think कि what do you say, एक अलग type का base मिल जाता है. There's only one cover. They are not fighting with other cover pictures.
Yeah,
and एक identity जो होती है वो बहुत clearly depict हो जाती है when it comes to just having a single cover. I think it's been 4 years and they have not changed their cover at all or released it in different languages with a different.
I think it explains everything ना. छोटा सा like psychiatrist वाला वो chair sort of hospital का scene दिखा रखा है and just that's it.
Correct. And also the recommendations. Good.
Like if they are saying you have to read the book तो and also we are saying you have to read the book so you have to read the book. Come on यार, इतने प्यारे प्यारे recommendations हर बार थोड़ी मिलते हैं.
इतना you have to read नहीं. I mean
it's a good one.
It's a decent read.
It's a good one.
बहुत commitment है.
See the number of books that you read और उसमें if you jump out to say good books then I can understand. The number of books that I read I might have more मतलब ऐसा good ones और number of books read के ratio में. So yeah मैं बोल सकता हूँ good one. Because you read 10 books, find good one, then suggest to me, and I read only good one. That's our ratio of reading books.
I wouldn't have suggested this. Okay.
Yeah.
Jokes apart. I am not in love with the book. Fair warning. So this review may come from a place of very neutral this thing. doing the review and I finished reading the book today morning and we didn't have time to change that कि कुछ और वो कर लेते हैं क्योंकि और कुछ पढ़ने का टाइम नहीं था. That is why I am doing this review.
इतना भी सच नहीं बोलना था. But I'll say this thing. मैंने बहुत ज़्यादा मर्डर मिस्ट्रीज नहीं पढ़ी हैं, but I really like murder mysteries apparently. तो मैंने जितनी पढ़ी हैं, उसके हिसाब से I could say this book did hold the plot. मतलब जो मिस्ट्री जो थी, you could not be like कि ऐसे मिड जैसे मैं could guess कि okay इसी डायरेक्शन में for sure जा रही है. There was a nice turn of events.
There was, but it was still like there was only one turn of events.
Yeah, and which was good enough.
It was good enough. It
That's
held the whole book together, but it is still very predictable up to that point.
It is.
Was very.
It's just that one turn of event. I always like writings na jahan pe the author is giving you information and then you are like either two questions comes up. One, he's making complete fool out of you. That information is totally relevant and you feel, oh wow, how super relevant that is. Second, that information is super relevant and then you are thinking what the bullshit this is. Why is he writing this? So मुझे वैसा पसंद है. And I felt कि वो एक turn of event was good enough for us to be like, oh shit, okay. इसीलिए इतना सब लिखा गया था, which was technically making no sense before that.
Yeah, I get that, but I don't get the hype that is.
I'm not, मतलब, I have not traced that hype that much as much you might have. इतना ज़्यादा मैं इधर उधर follow वैसे भी नहीं करता हूँ. So for me, book recommendations come from you. So that's how you gifted me, so I picked it up and I read it. Simple as that. अब सच बोल ही रहे तो. And then you said if we have to do this, then we are doing this.
I didn't say it.
Who said it? The person who asked us to review this book is not available here. Wow. And now we both are arguing why are we doing this book? If you are watching this, comment. Why are we doing this book? But it's a good book. Finally एक ऐसी book आई है. I think that's what she played a part ना. Finally she gave us a book जिसमें हम थोड़ा सा तो contribute कर रहे हैं. Otherwise हम दोनों same line में चलते रहते थे हर book को लेके.
Because all other books were brilliant.
And more or less हम हमारे discuss करने के बाद हम वो book उठाते थे. This was literally given to us by somebody.
Yeah, this is given to us.
Yeah, so we pick your suggestions, give us your suggestions, and we might argue more. You might get more funny content.
Cool. What's next?
I think हमने ये भी बता दिया इसमें twist of turn of events. Jumping on to that. So majorly characters.
Oh, too many characters.
Yes.
So we have the silent patient, that's Alicia Berenson. We have her psychotherapist, that is Theo Faber. Theo Faber is married to Kathy for short. Alicia is married to Gabriel. Gabriel has a brother Max. Alicia has a cousin Paul, and she lives with her aunt Lydia Rose. Alicia is a painter. She paints people, portraits, self-portraits, and everything. And she has a gallery friend, Jean Felix, and she has a neighbor, Mr. and Mrs. Hellman, but not that important. Alicia, as we all can see from the title, she's the silent patient, which means that some event of her life has shocked her into silence. And obviously, because of that, she's in a psychiatric center, which is the Grove. So when Alicia was admitted, she had, I think, a 2-on-1 system wherein two people watched over her because she was that suicidal or borderline or that violent. And she eventually moved to 1-on-1. So her 1-on-1 was Yuri, and Yuri was her caretaker. He was a very nice chap. What else? The people in charge at the Grove, which is the psychiatric center, were Diomedes, Indira, Christian wasn't in charge, but he was there.
One of the therapists.
Yeah, psychotherapist. And Krishna also had a big role.
Yeah. Surprisingly, it gets revealed very later.
And Stephanie is their administrator. So yeah, I think. And Max is married to his receptionist Tanya. Later. And we have Elif. also, who's one of the patients, one of the prominent patients in the Grove.
खबरी.
खबरी थोड़ी.
Alex tells a lot of things बीच बीच में.
हाँ,
That's why. खबरी हुआ फिर. इसी कहानी में गिन के मैंने 3-4 तो पेशेंट दिखाए हैं. उसमें से एक है जो सारी चीजें बता रहा है, तो खबरी हुआ.
So this book feels less like a psychotherapy session, more like a detective novel, a detective murder mystery, because
Fair enough.
हाँ, because
And he get poked about this as well.
हाँ,
They do tell him कि भाई तू therapist है, detective
हाँ,
नहीं है, relax.
exactly. So Alicia and her husband Gabriel are jumping into the story. Alicia and her husband Gabriel, they are very famous. Gabriel is a photographer and he has various shoots and everything. Alicia is a painter, like we said, but she comes from a troubled past. And I think in the initial first chapter only, na, when she gets committed to this facility, so we see that she is not entirely stable. Like there's a glimpse of it in the first chapter only, where we come to know that Alicia has some bimari. Like she हाँ we उसका डायरी एंट्री से चालू
हाँ
है
थियो से मेन है ना, because थियो जो है जब उसके बारे में पढ़ता है, so
हाँ
majorly life story revolves around Theo इसमें, because Theo was working at a hospital already and then he desperately wanted to work in this hospital जहाँ पे एलिसिया है, for only the reason क्योंकि वहाँ पे एलिसिया है. एंड उसको बहुत लोग बोलते भी हैं कि वहाँ पे जो है ग्रांट खत्म होने वाली है, वो लोग हॉस्पिटल शायद बंद कर देंगे उनके ट्रस्टी जो है, सो यू शुड नॉट गो, यू माइट गेट अ प्रमोशन ओवर हियर, व्हाई डू यू वांट टू जंप. और ही माइट नॉट से द एग्जैक्ट रीजन, बट वो कॉन्स्टेंटली यही मन में सोचता रहता है दैट ही फील्स दैट ही इज द ओनली वन हु कैन हेल्प अलीशा. And then we get to know a little bit more about Alicia, but more or less from the third person perspective only.
Yes.
जो कुछ भी पता लग रहा है वो पता लग रहा है जो न्यूज़ वगैरह में आ रहा है या फिर जो पढ़ा हुआ है डायरी एंट्री और उन sources.
Basically, Alicia has gone through something. There was this one event after which she was committed to the facility, wherein there were gunshots, and her husband was tied to this chair, and her husband is dead. So there were 5 holes, poked in his brain, and his guts had, like his brain had spilled on the wall. And yeah, that's how she was found. And after that, she didn't speak anything
For years.
for years. So we don't, like for 6 years.
Not even a word.
Not a single word, no smile. Only thing that you could know from like about her was from tabloids or TV, whatever they covered. But she did not speak to anyone. She didn't say it in court that she wasn't guilty or she was guilty, anything. So much so that she didn't cry, and she was stunned into silence for so long that everyone was like, she's very cold. And I think she just did the only expression that she did after her husband's death was the self portrait called Alestis. And that was at her exhibition. But she was working on this portrait before.
She was making a portrait of her husband,
Yes.
जिसमें इसके husband ने भी थोड़े सवाल उठाए थे, but then creativity is creativity, so let it go. He was also like people might not find it very amusing and they might get offended as well,
Yeah.
because she was technically portraying Jesus on the cross, but Jesus की जगह पे it was her husband. Gabriel.
So we can see that Alicia has art as her creative outlet. We can see that because she was shocked into silence, we can see that there is some past that has been bothering her, and I think immediately उसके बाद का एक diary entry है where she's like, Gabriel is the sweetest. I don't know why I get upset with him. Let me not go there so that I do it again or something. So we can see that there's a hint of a trauma or a traumatic past, and I think that's one build up that where it starts from. And then we switch back to Theo. So iske baad Alicia is only in through Theo. Through Theo. So, and this has also been portrayed really well. If I'm just realizing this when Indira says that she's already started. So Theo has been vouching for her. Theo has been fighting for her because when he entered, like he came here just for Alicia. And when he entered the grove, he saw that she was drugged. Like she was, in his expression, she was drugged to the eyeballs, and she was drowning in the medications and everything. So his first attempt was, if you want her to like being normal, then you have to stop giving her those
Yeah.
drugs. So yeah, that's what happened. And I think uske next time say kuch to again he put across something, and Indira said that one of his kind of a boss said that I think Alicia has already started talking because she's talking through you. And it also makes me wonder that if Diomedes worked with her, worked with Alicia, why wasn't all this tried? Like, she was an artist, okay? The first thing you're supposed to give the.
There is a very small thing. Christian का angle दिया है ना. Christian sabotaged a lot of her recovery.
हाँ, he sabotaged, but
Intentionally.
Diomedes को खुद को he was seeing
Diomedes
Alicia.
का if you see the Diomedes was character जो last में भी जब discuss कर रहा था जब थे उसके पास सारा कुछ proofs लेके आया था when Alicia talked. Okay, spoiler. Alicia talked. So जब Alicia talked तो Diomedes ने तब भी बोला था that you are making all these theories in your head because you have a soft corner for her and she's trying to seduce you because she's that kind of a girl.
Yeah, yeah.
So Diomedes had this. He was a character sort of कि criminal को criminal की नजर से ही देखना है.
हाँ, but
He had decided कि वो criminal
worked
है.
on Alicia. Okay.
He didn't want to treat her at all.
I don't think he didn't want because the okay.
जितना उसको interactions दिखाए even Theo के साथ, he didn't want to treat her because for her it was
No,
like.
he's pretty supportive of.
Yeah, he get that, but Theo convinced him to be supportive. मुझे ऐसा लग रहा है. Because Diomedes was more or less was like कि वो criminal है, उस criminal की नजर से देखना है. All we have to do is that कि वो किसी को hurt ना करे.
I feel Diomedes wanted Alicia to get better because we can see that like he's made so many notes about it. He even went like against Stephanie. वो क्या कर सकता था अगर उसको नहीं करना आता तो स्टेफनी के अगेंस्ट नहीं चाहता कि you know like he hand wrote all his notes and everything.
Theo had to fight for starting में भी sessions लेने के लिए. He literally had
because
to fight.
Because they gave up. But that's the thing. They gave up after trying. But my whole point is that even if I'm not a psychotherapist, I know for a fact that if someone loves painting, let them do what they want. Let them. Like, how was this missed? I think that's a plot hole.
Yeah, could be, but then also, you know, मुझे यही लग रहा है that Diomedes literally saw her as a cold-blooded murderer, not as an artist at all. Because shooting somebody in the head with 5 bullets of shotgun is
but
not
then being
a small
shocked
thing.
into silence. And Diomedes was the one who gave her this thing, trial ke time pe. He was the one who gave the statement that she needs corrections and she needs a psychiatric center rather than jail. So I don't think that is the case. Like maybe he was on the fence about treating her, but I don't think he was like he saw her as a criminal. I don't believe that. But yeah, that's a plot hole wherein they gave her art supplies and it was this brilliant idea that Theo had. But I was like, everyone's a psychotherapist. Why didn't these people have this idea? And Diomedes is old, right? He's like,
yeah,
he's aged.
And because we're talking about psychotherapists, I did took this one quote from the book and talked to few therapists. If you don't know me, the इसी channel पे we have these so many set podcasts with the therapists as well. So पुराने, so that shows I have connections around therapists. तो इस book में जब therapist के बारे में था, I'm like, okay, I'm curious now. I gotta talk this out because इसमें बहुत crazy line बोली गई है about people who take psychology, not just therapists, but people who take psychology, who become counselors, who become therapists, who become psychotherapists, and all. And the line is that you become therapists to help yourself first, not to help others at all. So anyone, because वो interview के लिए जब जा रहा था, तो he said this thing that I'll be lying, but lie करना पड़ेगा if I had to say कि मैं औरों की help करने के लिए therapist बनाऊं, because every therapist is somewhere hurt, broken, or disturbed within himself or herself, and they become therapists for themselves first. That's what makes them chase psychology, and so many of them agreed to it. They are like, this is something that's said so less that people don't realize that two things that one thing that people don't realize at all that therapists could need therapy as well. They are the ones who obviously बहुत सारा वो intake लेते हैं तो could get affected as well, but also from the starting POV as well कि what inspired them to take psychology, not just that कि ठीक है कोई subject लेना है तो psychology ले लेते हैं therapy की line में चले जाते हैं, but I think a lot of good therapists do come from a point of trauma somewhere, and yeah, a lot of them agreed, like majority of them agreed, lot भी नहीं बोलूँगा, like a massive majority of them agreed, and I'm like, okay, we do not see this point at all कहीं ना कहीं.
Yeah, even the whole that as adults when you need intervention with your mental health, then it's somehow related to your childhood. So that is also like the central theme of this book. Yes, then when he says this in the interview, after that we see Theo's past for a bit. So Theo's past is again like he's just making his point stronger that he had a very screwed up past. Um, he did not have a father figure in the sort of an actual father figure. His father was abusive and bet him left, right, and center. His mom was of no help. She was either drinking or she was like trying to get rid of some bad memories that her husband was constantly causing. She was not standing up for herself or her son for that matter. So Theo remembers the happiest time of his childhood was when his father was away for a month. I think he'd gone to America and they were living in UK and or vice versa. And it had snowed a lot in UK and they remembered making a snowman. But they they kind of subconsciously made it like his father and then they were petting like snowballs at him at the snowman. Why he turned into the person he did. Not that I think it's a very complex topic. Do you think it's for this matter?
Could be. I mean, but again, he also says that thing ना मैं जो अब फिर वही चीज़ अब ना बहुत आगे का चला जाएगा. But Alicia's childhood also played a part in that. No, he did mention that thing. उसको नहीं पता था ये चीज वो लास्ट में बोलता है उसको रियलाइज नहीं था बट Alicia's
Father also played a
past
part.
played mother and father played a massive part in her reacting to that situation in that manner.
Correct. Could be. So
Traumatic childhood, extremely traumatic childhood, very triggering childhood for both of the person.
Both of them.
Yeah.
And what they came across to trigger that trauma was actually it's actually pretty common. So why it happened, we'll come to that later. But it's pretty common. There shouldn't be so much build up around that. But the point I think that he was trying to make is ki when it's trauma, even the slightest things might start getting triggering and you will not even realize why. So more or less, I also feel when they are talking about their rage or their angry or thoughts or those impulses, it feels like for both of these people that some other person takes over their body. Like so even Theo has issues with dealing with his anger and I remember he's like मैं पत्थर उठा लिया था लेकिन फिर suddenly कुछ तो आवाज आई and I was like मैंने कब उठाया मैं इसको मारने जा रहा था like what just happened with me. So uh, I think this intervention becomes difficult when you're not a rational person or you have trauma associated with you and also that you've not entirely healed from your trauma. So yeah, I think that is also drawn in the book. अच्छा लगता है डिस्कस करके बहुत सारी चीजें
पता लगती हैं. And yeah, how interesting would this have been if somebody from the psychology line would have been with us?
Yeah. Next time.
We need to do this book again. Make somebody from the psychology line. Oh damn! I know a person in psychology line who loved this book. Yeah, shit. But I didn't know this before this morning. Otherwise, I could have invited the person.
So we have many psychological.
Yeah. But this one is about a psychologist. Let's just say this is about them. So it had to. Okay. We might do a part 2 of this sometime later, obviously, when all of us are free, sort of.
Yeah.
But it needs that now, I think. जिस हिसाब से हम बात कर रहे हैं. Because कौन से points कहाँ trigger कर रहे हैं, कौन से trauma के, it will be very interesting to hear that from that POV कहीं ना कहीं. Exactly what could lead वहाँ पे. And then उसने अपने smoking के बारे में भी बहुत he had made quite interesting comments about his habits of smoking somewhere.
Because I think so more or less Theo was a rational person who was very real about his addiction, about his trauma, about his healing to an extent, and about his functionality. And I think there, Ruth, we forgot to mention, Ruth was Theo's therapist all these years. Like even, I think he took one session even when he's treating Alicia. But yeah, before that also, since college, Ruth was Theo's therapist, and she said that, she was like, see, if you completely cut off your addiction, it's not going to help you. You have to first. So these are the stages, the denial, the acceptance, the understanding, and then the healing. So these have always been like the 4 or 5 stages of dealing with anything, be it grief, be it addiction. So that's what she did. She's like, okay, you're not in denial because you know you are addicted to it. Second is to accept this, understand it. Okay, so if you are going to like be very, what you say, extreme about it, कि नहीं करना ही नहीं है, you will switch back, and which is what happened. I think for a few years he substituted his addiction with Kathy, who was his wife, and then once I think he set into the routine with Kathy, he switched back to his addiction just like that. Like he said, it was a faithful dog waiting for me, his addiction. I really like the metaphors in this book.
काफी अच्छा है. And also now jumping to Alicia and her husband, उन दोनों के relationship पे if you'll see, उनके past traumas तो चलो थे ही थे, but if you'll see उनके relationship पे ऐसे थे ना, where they would not address issues. I'm not sure about Gabriel, how kind of a person that was, क्योंकि Gabriel के बारे में बहुत कम बात की गई है. मैक्स ने थोड़ी सी बात की और अलीशा के POV से बस बहुत हल्का सा बताया गया है.
And it's always such a nice person, so
Yeah.
I don't want to hurt him. It's very made up.
वही.
I feel.
Because अलीशा जो है वो खुद के मन में बहुत चीजें सोच रही थी, तो वो उसके अजीब से POV से दिखाया गया, so we don't know much. And Max because was the elder brother, तो उसको थोड़ा सा जेलसी और थोड़ा सा उसने अपने एल्डर ब्रदर वाले POV से बताया है. बट उनकी रिलेशनशिप भी ऐसी थी, गैब्रियल और एलिशा की, वेयर दे वुड नॉट एड्रेस देयर फाइट्स एंड ऑल. उन्होंने भले ही एक बस यू नो श्रग ऑफ करने के लिए लिख दिया हो, बट इफ यू डिग डीप इनटू इट, तो the phase where Alicia writes this down into her diary that we should always argue in bed only because हमने वो लड़ाई करी, but we didn't address it completely. Then we ended up in bed, and then they ended up saying sorry to each other.
It's easier to say I'm sorry when you are that vulnerable.
Yeah.
And mean it. And mean it.
And I'm like, no. If there are issues and there are things that's constantly happening and happening repetitively, then you need to address them and talk it out.
Yeah.
But they were not doing it at all. वो लोग उनको बार बार they were piling it up according to her diary apparently.
Of course, because so again you have to realize that when Alyssa was writing, when it's in the book that Alyssa is writing this diary, at that point we know that Alyssa was not stable.
Yeah.
So anytime I was reading her diary, although I was like, हाँ सच है, but also शायद सच नहीं है. So there has been that conflict, and this conflict will always be there because maybe towards the end she was stable, but we don't know at what stage she was writing those things about Gabriel. So what if she was not stable at that point? But yeah,
And she wasn't apparently, because Max तान्या ने जब बोला था कि उसके भाई से जाके मिलो, और ये वाले डायरी एंट्रीज जो हैं बहुत सी उसके गैब्रियल के मरने के इर्द गिर्द वाली ही मेजर डायरी एंट्रीज हैं जो बुक में मेजरली दिखाई गई हैं. और जब वो कजिन से भी मिलता है और मैक्स से भी जब बात करता है, तो उसको पता लगता है that she did commit a suicide few months earlier as well. So she wasn't stable at all.
no, but that was
उसी फेस में था ना वो तो.
नहीं ना.
हाँ.
वो तो बोला ना कि वो काइंड ऑफ सुसाइड, वो तो क्रिश्चियन ने क्लियर कर दिया ना कि वो you can say it was a suicide,
Yeah.
but it wasn't really. I don't think she was trying to. वो
But-
तो क्रिश्चियन ने बोल दिया ना कि वो कभी भी उसने उतना एक्सट्रीम स्टेप नहीं लिया.
Yeah, but they did brought ऊपर क्रिश्चियन वाला, फिर बाद में वो भी तो होता है ना, that
हाँ.
Christian was sabotaging and lying most of the times.
हाँ.
और जब मैक्स तान्या और उसका कजन और सब लोग बोल रहे हैं कि
उसको
हुआ है,
ब्लैकमेल करके बोला, तभी तो क्रिश्चियन शायद सच में बोल रहा है.
शायद ना, that's the point, he was sabotaging throughout. तो so she उसको
But
बहुत
you also have to remember this is Theo's perspective.
yeah, that's
What if Theo is sabotaging?
oh man, like wait, you have to pick a thread and hold on to it, that this is my opinion and in the book this is the person I believe is correct and
You
saying the
can't
truth.
do that.
Because if you keep on jumping around and saying that कि भाई पर वो भी तो थोड़ा सा traumatic और toxic और like sort of डिसरप्टिव था, तो क्या वो सच बोल रहा है, क्या वो सच बोल रहा है,
wanted
क्या वो
to
सच बोल रहा है, तो
cover
कोई
this
भी नहीं है ना फिर तो। then nobody को हम किसके पर्सपेक्टिव से स्टोरी को एड्रेस करें? that story is just floating around in the air.
Yeah. Okay, I think we need to tell the story. थोड़ा
We
just
have
a
to
minute,
now.
because-
चलो हाँ, ये
हाँ,
समझ नहीं आएगा वरना बिल्कुल।
हाँ. So, how to tell the story? So,
Yeah.
in the book, it's going parallel. कि Theo was trying to treat Alicia. Alicia is not speaking anything. वो एकदम मतलब Theo firstly wants to have a one-on-one session. So, first उसका वो parameter meet होते हैं. One-on-one में उसको समझ में आता है कि she's drugged. तो उसका डोजेज कम कर देते हैं. फिर उसके बाद का जो वन ऑन वन होता है, द सेकंड कम्युनिकेशन दैट अलिसिया डज इज शी अटैक्स थियो for some reason. She attacks Theo in her session, and she's so strong. Like, it took 4 people to pry Alicia off Theo. And then again there was a meeting कि भाई मतलब क्या करना है, इसको ट्रीट करना है नहीं करना. Everyone's like she's borderline. But what Theo does is he's like, I'm not intimidated by her, and I think this is how she's talking. So this is communication, because अब तक वो एकदम चुप थी, कुछ कर नहीं रही थी and everything. So then Theo started like क्या बोलते हैं biopsying his life, her life throughout. And he came across again this one rage incident where Elif had attacked her in the start. Like, kuch to hua tha, and they both had a rift, and they both were placed in isolation or something for a few days. So, in the start, as soon as Alicia had come to the center, so he was like, okay, mental note, because otherwise she's not had any episodes or anything. So then he starts tracking everyone down. So the first call he makes is to Max Berenson. Max Berenson is Gabriel's brother, but his
Not
office.
real. Not a real brother.
Adopted.
Max was adopted first because the parents could not had any baby,
हाँ.
and then suddenly they conceived. Or from Max se bolta that probably they were relieved of stress, and that could have resulted in
And
baby.
apparently this is
And
pretty
then Max के through they do observe कि Max को jealousy कहीं ना कहीं होती है, because we all know own blood is own blood वाली चीज,
हाँ.
and Gabriel was getting all the attention, and also according to Max, in his words, Gabriel got all the talent, Gabriel got all the looks, Gabriel got all the attention, Gabriel got all the love.
Yeah, but Max for the brain.
Yes.
So yeah, that happened, and Max is also initially not like, he was very abrupt when he spoke to Theo, but then it was very sweet later. But when Theo started pressing him for a few things, again he got very like bad about it. He was very
A lot defensive as
jumpy.
well. He made
हाँ.
sure कि progress आगे ना जाए. He complained to the authorities as well
So
to
it was
stop
very,
Theo.
it was very shady behavior, which also again Theo made a mental note of. Also, when he was leaving Tanya, who's Max's receptionist and his wife, also told him, like, she was very quietly telling Theo, whispering, ki, go talk to her cousin, go talk to Alicia's cousin, ask him about the night after her mother met with an accident. And then Max comes out, and she's very visibly very afraid of Max. And Theo makes a mental note that Max is a dangerous person also. So, and Max का ही office had arranged for Alicia का solicitor. So
Max was a lawyer, और उनको defend करने के लिए Max खुद नहीं पर उसके office से defend करते थे.
So when he asked, like, Gabriel would have wanted her to be happy.
Yeah.
He also commented how he hated Alicia, and he was like कि Gabriel मतलब blind in love था, तो but ठीक है, अभी भाई के लिए करना पड़ता है, तो मैंने किया sort of that approach. And yeah, that was his interaction with Max. Then Theo went to Lydia Rose. No?
Lydia was the mother of the cousin. No, what's the name of the cousin?
Paul.
Paul. So Lydia is the mother of the Paul. और जब इसकी मॉम डाइड फर्स्ट ना, सो मॉम की जब डेथ हुई थी एलिशिया के, तब लीडिया थोड़ी देर के लिए केयर टेकिंग के लिए आई थी, कुछ मंथ के लिए. बट देन द डेड इंसिडेंट हैपेंड, उसके बाद देन कॉन्स्टेंटली फिर वो साथ ही रहने लगे. और अब इसमें होता है कि कजन हैड अ वेरी सॉफ्ट कॉर्नर फॉर एलिशिया, talks very good about her, सब कुछ, but Lydia badmouths her a lot. She hates her, absolutely. And her opinion is clear कि hospital नहीं, she deserves prison directly.
Yeah. She's very, and she hates that Paul also talks to her. So she's very controlling. And Lydia is basically on bed rest. She can hardly move. She's very old, but she's a staunch believer that Alessia is very selfish. She's narcissistic. She's a bitch. So yes, that's also there throughout the book. We come across like almost everyone talks about Alessia like this. Uh, so which makes me like focus on the commentary that अगर Alicia अच्छी होती, if she would have been this दुनियादारी वाली person, there would have been so many people who would have begged for her justice. But just because she was a narcissist person, like maybe she was not a criminal, she was just looking out for herself.
People, which अगर आप दुनिया के नियमों के हिसाब से नहीं चलते हो, then people start categorizing you. अब जैसे ही कुछ भी कर पता है कि हाँ ये possible है इसने किया है, और ये तो fact है वैसे ने किया है. And only the few people who could understand her side, like the cousin and Tanya as well somewhere, were the ones who said that maybe there is another side to the story. Exactly. Just because being narcissist does not mean that you suddenly just seek out opportunities कि भाई मैं कौन सा crime कर सकता हूँ, भाई चलो crime करते हैं, crime करते हैं. अरे introvert narcissist into yourself, having weird thoughts somewhere. I think even जब report वगैरह भी दिखाई गई थी तो the media and the police judged a lot on the painting she was making.
And more than that, it was also the fact कि वो कुछ react नहीं कर रही है, वो चुप बैठी है, वो रो नहीं रही है. I mean, people process grief very differently, and it's also a commentary on. It's a very basic commentary, but it brings me back to when Mandira Vedi lost her husband. She's wearing white top and a jeans, and the people were like, "कपड़े कैसे पहने हैं? कौन पहनता है? Western कपड़े कौन पहनता है? Indian सभ्यता and shit like that." Like her husband has died. Like so. Anyway, coming back to the story. So yeah, I think her aunt made that opinion about Alicia. And then Theo wanted to talk to Jean Felix. So Jean Felix, apparently they were thick as thieves with Alicia and they were very good friends and everything. And Theo somehow got thoda disgusted with Jean Felix. So he was Jean Felix talking. वो
गैलरी का जो
हाँ
तो उसमें
वो ना हाँ तो he got very
again
uncomfortable with
and Theo constantly noticed somewhere reading the diary और उससे बात करने के बाद that he's lying.
Yeah.
वो अलग ही कहानी सुना रहा है जो डायरी में वैसे बिल्कुल भी नहीं है.
Exactly. So Jean Felix was like, "Oh, I loved Alicia. Alicia and I were best friends, and I know everything about this person." And
again, your question: who is right there? Is Felix right or was Alicia right in the diary?
I don't know.
Maybe अब वो लाके चॉकलेट दे और अलीशा ने डायरी में लिख दिया वो मेरे साथ लाइन मारता रहता था, बात पे चॉकलेट देता रहता था.
So Alicia used to write a diary also, but we didn't have access to her diary, or we didn't know that she used to write a diary till later. And so
which was shown as the mark of confidence or a mark of something that I trust from Alicia
so
later, to Theo.
Later she gave the diary.
To Theo. Give the diary
ऐसे
to
क्यों
Theo.
बोल तो बीच में और भी incidents हुए. Like build up करना होता है. So while Theo was figuring this out and was talking to the people, he also, because Max complained to the authorities, he got a call from Diomedes saying that भाई बस हो गया, अब तू ये सब नहीं कर रहा, अब तुझे जो भी करना है ये यूनिट के अंदर करना है. So still he was breaking all the rules and doing shit like that.
The thing most interesting इसी वाले मोमेंट पे जब उसको बोलता है कि मत करना और तान्या से ऑलरेडी बोल चुकी होती कजिन से मिलना है. So the chapter ends with the line where Theo says, Diomedes बोलता है तू ऐसा कुछ नहीं करेगा. And Theo says, you have my word. And the next page starts the new chapter when I met at कजिन से मिलने जा चुका.
I was on my way to meet Paul.
I'm like क्या भाई? Like there's like थोड़ा break gap कुछ भी नहीं. You have my word. I'm on my way to meet Paul.
So that happens, and Meanwhile, Theo is still having one-on-one sessions with Alicia and Jean Felix कुछ तो बोलता है कि उसको आर्ट उसका हमेशा से कम्युनिकेशन रहा है and ये तो भाई ये आर्ट वाला कम्युनिकेशन वाला चीज तो मुझे स्टिल एक्सेप्ट नहीं था वो जीन फीलिक्स को आइडिया आ गया बट ये साइकोथेरेपिस्ट को आइडिया नहीं आया कि उसको
I have my opinion that they really did not want
but
it to
this
try.
idea तो didn't even come to Theo ना
Theo वाला तो तुम्हें पता ही है.
So anyway, so Theo suggested and जीन फिलिक्स का obviously खुद का पर्पस था आइडिया देने का कि उसको उसका आर्ट एग्जीबिशन में चाहिए था so he suggested Theo agreed Theo ने बोला और वो लोग ने I think वो and हाँ Diomedes was like कि good luck with the वो भी मेरे को नहीं समझा गुड लक विद द आर्ट थेरेपी जो लेती है उससे बात कर गुड लक हाँ देख 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 तेरे को मिलता है या नहीं दिखते एंड शी इज लाइक हाँ ले ले हाँ उसको अलग रूम
It felt like ये लोग internal bets लगा के बैठे हैं
और गलत like you're a psychotherapist at least ये जजमेंट तो आ ही जाएगा ना कि वो देगी या नहीं देगी ठीक है fine so Theo convinced everyone to let Alicia paint correct and he gave her the paint brushes and everything and I think that was her first what do you say reaction from Alicia she was giving एक लुक दिया था थियो को एक ये बट एक बिग रिएक्शन which was a smile was I think when he gave her the paint supplies so I think धीरे धीरे he was even trying his luck with Alicia because he knew at the end of the day कि जब तक मैं वो स्टेज रेडी करूँ बाहर का दुनिया तब तक ये रेडी नहीं हुई तो बहुत प्रॉब्लम हो जाएगा and also he was you would want to question कि इसको कोई कुछ बोल क्यों नहीं रहा था he was breaking so many rules and everything but the reason was that this unit was going to be shut so they and Alicia was pretty famous so they were like अगर ये Alicia को बात करवा सकता है तो nothing like it
and also he showed his dominance or he showed his authority the good uh, how good he was when he entered only जब वो फर्स्ट में जब वो आता है पहले दिन अपने so there was this group session happening और उनमें जो उनकी most violent patient होती है वो अचानक से भड़क जाती है and he was the one who was immediately able to handle her.
correct
Never been in that hospital and never known any of them, he was immediately able to handle the most violent patient.
correct.
So that also showed how good he was. वो वहीं पे अपना alpha male खेल चुका होता है वहाँ पे. He saw the opportunity, he grabbed it.
correct.
और उसकी वजह से बाकी लोग थोड़ा सा वो देते हैं कि चलो he is something. If we can do this to a person जिससे हम सब डरते हैं, so he might be good enough. Let him try कहीं ना कहीं.
Correct. And then बीच में वो थियो की पर्सनल लाइफ आती है which we didn't know कि क्यों आ रही है मतलब क्या पॉइंट क्या है इस पर्सनल लाइफ का so basically थियो meets Kathy बोलता है उसको and they both were seeing other people when they met each other but उनका कनेक्शन हाँ कनेक्शन बहुत अच्छा था and they both get together Kathy is an actress and she has like play करती है वो तो उसके रिहर्सल्स चलते रहते हैं ये वो और ये भी मुझे बहुत सरप्राइजिंग लगा पता है कि Theo moves for his job and all suddenly he's like I have to go home like when he tells Yuri मेरे को लगता है वो झूठ बोला कि उसको घर पे अपनी बीवी के पास जाना है like इसकी बीवी कब आई so there was no this thing कि his like no mention that his wife also moved towns with him because they like this units were in different towns and had to move so
दोनों की सिमिलरिटी जंप होती है फिर यहाँ आया वो काइंड ऑफ क्रुएलिटी वाला थोड़ा सा और इसमें भी आर्टिस्ट है और हमने लास्ट बुक करी थी इसमें भी आर्टिस्ट थी और दोनों का दिमाग सनकी था
so yeah हाँ मेरे को भी काइंड ऑफ क्रुएलिटी वाला
गला थोड़ा सा लगा था
so that happened and suddenly we're like हाँ ठीक है चलो let's roll with it इसकी बीवी है और वो ये सब करती है और they show a pretty initially they show a pretty good marriage very happening very love type काफी routine हो गया होता है बीच में बाहर जाते हैं ये वो फिर one fine day Theo sees कि उसकी बीवी नहीं है घर पे and he's had a very difficult day you know Theo को चोट भी लगती है 2-3 बार एक बार तो Alicia उसको ये करती है एक बार उसका कजन उसको सर पे मार देता है उसको चोट समझ के
उसके कजन से जब वो मिलने जाता है तो उसका कजन उसको पीछे से हमला कर देता है चोर समझ के उसकी नॉक्स हिम ऑफ
yeah
that's also a thing He's like, what the hell is happening?
Yeah, so you can see like he's not just mentally affected by this case, he's also physically
Physically
affected. And like we mentioned earlier, he talks about his addiction, and never know why it starts, but it had started again with him. So he started smoking weed, and like उस दिन and वो ना बहुत जल्दी जल्दी उसको मारना रहता है because he wants to not like let Kathy know that he does this and everything. And Kathy knows about his past, like not in so much detail, but she knows about his parents. They met also, but they had a very intimate kind of a wedding. कि दोनों के लिए no parents वाला wedding कि किसी के भी parents नहीं आए थे, वैसा करके वो लोग शादी करते हैं. And yeah, when he's on his trip, this very high trip, he sees कि उससे ना लैपटॉप गिर जाता है, तो वो रखने जा रहा होता है, उसने देखा कि कैथी का ईमेल खुला होता है.
ऐसे कैजुअली बस
दिख गया.
वो देखना नहीं चाहता था, पूरा ईमेल पढ़ लिया, दिख
गया और देखते देखते उसने पूरा पढ़ भी
लिया. वो बस ऐसे ऐसे उठाते
and he reads the whole thing, and like I think it was pretty obvious the build up that he finds his wife is cheating on him.
He doubts right now. He says आगे जाके भी कि probably वो play की lines rehearse कर रहे थे, but then he's like, but she did not sign off as the name of the actress, she signed off as her own name, but maybe that was a mistake, she's not cheating. वो अपने mind में भी एक image बना के वो, and that from where again trauma reflect होता है, that he's so scared of losing somebody that वो कितना भी बुरा क्यों ना कर ले, he's somewhere trying to see कि क्या ये मेरी गलती है या क्या मैं गलत समझ रहा हूँ, बिकॉज मेरा ट्रॉमा है तो मैं गलत ही समझ रहा हूँ, सामने वाला गलत नहीं हो सकता.
And also जब इनकी शादी होती है, so Catherine does not believe in God, and they don't have like any religious wedding. They just exchange some vows and rings. But he's like, so after all his trauma, after everything, he's like, I say a silent prayer to God. And there's like a whole paragraph of it, which is also pretty novel as an idea, because we are in this generation where people are not believing in some higher power or authority. Okay. But he goes like कि नहीं, God didn't forget about me. मेरे father के साथ हुआ ये वो, मुझे लगा he forgot about me, and he forgot that I was there as well. But then he was saving me for Catherine, and I'm just so happy about it. And I was like, okay, this is like I don't understand his belief. It just feels very forced. I feel like in the book it feels forced. He could have genuinely believed, but yeah, that happened. So,
somebody saying हमारी voice कम आ रही है. Let me check एक बार. सही तो है. I think it's fine. थोड़ा voice बढ़ा दो यार. Okay, it's working fine, guys. It's working fine. और भी किसी को कम आ रही है तो प्लीज बता दो. One of the person has said कि कम आ रही है, but यहाँ ठीक आ रही है.
Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, that happened. And then, so again, he's in his own head. He's thinking so many things. He's like कि हाँ मैं वेट करता हूँ, खुद ही एक दिन मुझे कन्फेस कर देगी और फिर मुझसे माफी मांगेगी. And then he's like, shit, माफी नहीं मांगी तो मैं क्या करूँगा, बोलेगी मेरे को छोड़ना है.
Those things ना वो calculate नहीं कर पा रहे या address नहीं कर पा रहे situation को ढंग से, because of the fear of losing one more person who have finally somebody who have loved him कहीं ना कहीं, और उसकी वजह से he's trying to make out the situations कि how can we make sure कि ये situation would turn out in something better or would turn out somewhere would save the situation कहीं ना कहीं. तो और वो savior syndrome नहीं बोलेंगे इसे all तो but this would be like
savior syndrome for yourself.
Yeah.
I think looking out for yourself. This is self-preservation.
But at an extreme level कहीं ना कहीं.
But yeah, Saurabh, ये बहुत common है.
Common है, that I agree. और that's where I say कि a lot of this come from the way people are parented as well. क्योंकि बचपन में जो भी उनके साथ होता है that results into the adulthood, और बहुत से toxic relationships को drag लोग बस इसलिए करते हैं because one what they have seen and second उनके साथ जो हुआ है. So एक तो normality आ जाती है and secondly as I said कि finally कोई जिस जो मुझे पसंद कर रहा है थोड़ा सा
Yeah,
भी,
like,
तो
I
उनकी
don't-
कितनी भी गलतियां माफ कर सकते हैं.
I don't think
But where is the
anyone
limit?
wants to be lonely, but वही है, हाँ, but मतलब they're not wrong by thinking
Yeah, but
about
Theo was not ready to. But Theo was like questioning his own thought. उसने proof देखा है, but उसके बावजूद he was questioning his own thought in ways which was not possibly true at all. Like उसका कोई चांस ही नहीं था वैसा चीज होने का. Like emails के ऊपर sexual email पढ़ने के बाद he is contemplating कि lines rehearse कर रहे हैं.
So that happened, and then eventually he steps out of the house. He needs a break. He can't stay in the house, and चलते जा रहा, and then जैसे मैंने बोला कि when you are in this rage, you don't realize, and he's like, okay, I'm back now, and मैं कहाँ हूँ, मैं क्या कर रहा हूँ, and he realizes he's at his old therapist's doorstep almost. That's Ruth. So he knocks on the door. He doesn't care that it's 10 in the night, and Ruth is also. So I think Ruth is the most genuine person. ये story उसके perspective से होनी चाहिए थी.
That's why I said we need a therapist or psychologist sitting right here.
So Ruth was like she was actually rooting for Theo. To be very honest, she was like, and she was brutally honest. Matlab, she knew Theo was a difficult patient, but she also was aware of the progress that they had made. So eventually, she made Theo realize that, and I really like that interaction because all this while Theo was not a psychotherapist, so he was not a professional. He was studying to be one, but she had been one. So then, when it happened, it was actually a conflict between two psychotherapists, but one is a patient and one is a doctor. So I think it was really commenting on the irony of this book. And it was a nice exchange, I feel. Like, it was one of the most rational exchanges that I have seen in this entire book. I think Ruth was like one sane person. And she convinced him. She was like, हाँ उसको छोड़ दे because अभी मतलब उसको ही वो realize करवाया कि this is wrong. And वो घर गया and he's like, no matter what Ruth says, I'm not leaving Catherine.
And then moving forward, so he starts to make sure थोड़ा collect evidence sort of something like maybe more sure कि कैथरीन का क्या सीन चल रहा है and starts following her apparently यहाँ वहाँ थोड़ा बहुत और उतने में he founds that she's with a guy पार्क में कहीं पे and then recognizes her moons apparently.
Yeah. So first time I think when he starts following her, she actually goes to her friend Nicole जो सच बोलती नहीं थी.
Yeah.
But then after a point, I think, like, then he was pretty easy to recognize. Like, he recognized it pretty easily when she was saying something like, she'll be like, I'm going for a walk or an exercise. And he's like, मैं भी चलता हूँ. But she would just make up some excuse कि उसको अकेले जाना है. She will rehearse her lines. He was like, कि मैं तुझसे ये करता हूँ. She's like, no, I just say to myself, everyone in the park is looking at me and everything. So you don't want to be a part of it. तो ऐसे करके ही फॉलोज देम एंड दो बार फॉलो करता है. तो एक बार वो फॉलो करके घर आ जाता है और दूसरी बार वो फॉलो करके उस आदमी को फॉलो करता है फिर जो जिसके साथ वो चीट कर रही थी. तो he sees, and that's when I said that उसके intrusive thoughts आते हैं. He has so many thoughts running in his head. Like, first is, how could Catherine do this to me? Second is, मैं इसको मार देता हूँ. फिर वो डिप्रेशन में जाएगी, कभी ना कभी तो मुझे सच बोल देगी, ये खत्म तो हो जाएगा. Sort of that. Picks up a stone and he's very close to hitting that man with the stone. But then, like I said, some voice distracts him and he's like, shit, मैं क्या कर रहा? I'm not a murderer, I'm not a criminal. What is she making me do? And just then he realizes that, हाँ, फिर उसने उसका घर देख लिया.
वो चेस करता है मैन को and then suddenly he from a distance he saw that in the house man is hugging and kissing another woman. So he realizes that he is not the only one who is getting cheated.
Yeah.
There is another woman who is getting cheated as well.
Correct.
So then he thinks that murdering the guy would be an easy exit for the guy for what he has done to me.
Correct.
And I am not a murderer, so I will do something even more worse than this. And then he starts making a plan in his head.
Yes.
The plan which is not told, but he starts making a plan in his head.
So he doesn't like immediately starts planning the murder or something, but or anything of that sort.
He just
But
says that he will do something more that will make him that will hurt him even more than murdering him at that
and very
moment.
subconsciously he is also like always like near that house. He's just watching, he's looking, and you know
Constantly वो
obsession जैसे
हाँ.
treat करता है इस चीज
More like
को.
getting information as well, you can say ना,
हाँ.
वो constantly read कर रहा है कि भाई कब क्या कैसा मौका होने वाला है, क्या चल रहा है अंदर, क्या नहीं चल रहा है अंदर, है ना.
Correct.
और
And on the hospital front, one fine day, so Alicia is very happy with the paintings and everything, and he finally gets a breakthrough where she gives him the diary, and that is it. And he reads everything about Alicia, jitna hota hai. So lot of things happen in the diary that were not talked about. One is so there's this Dr. West in the diary that he's like, okay, kuch to hai, kuch to hai. One is there is और एक चीज होती है पॉल का होता है कि वो पैसे मांगने आता है.
हाँ, and then Max incident as well.
हाँ, मैक्स का भी सीन होता है. So through these pieces we can roughly say कि शायद हर एक इमोशन अलेसिया का ट्रू नहीं हो, बट जो इंसिडेंट्स हुए वो सच होते हैं.
And हर इंसिडेंट के साथ you start questioning the other people. So Max हो गया या फिर Felix right?
पॉल, जीन
Felix हो गया, Paul भी हो गया. So you start questioning the incident somewhere कि उन लोगों ने जो कहानी सुनाई है have only told the part where Alicia is bad and they are good. But डायरी के अंदर अब ऐसा लिखा हुआ है, for example, जो Max है, he abused sexually abused Alicia multiple times apparently. और एक बार उसके उनके घर में ही और she had already tried once, और उसके बाद उनके घर में जब वो आता है तो अलिसिया नहीं बता, तभी तक गैब्रियल को नहीं बताया होता है, and just to ask her not to tell, he attempts it once again. So that's the part जो मैक्स obviously नहीं बताएगा, और डायरी के थ्रू जो है इसे पता लगता है थियो को. So सबके बारे में एक ऐसे ऐसी इंफॉर्मेशन उसको डायरी के थ्रू पता लगती है where it will be very evident that they become the suspect suddenly. इनमें से कोई है जो कुछ तो गड़बड़ है.
जैसे Paul was he needed money, he was into some gambling thing, and Elsa lent him, like she wasn't sure whether she should give him money.
And then she denied as well बाद में.
हाँ, he denied.
Okay, हाँ, denial happened बीच में थोड़ा.
So she gave him 2000 का check and 20,000 चाहिए था, and फिर Paul, like Theo was also testing Paul, so Paul was like नहीं उसने मुझे कुछ नहीं दिया, is that right? So he's like हाँ हाँ कुछ नहीं दिया मुझे. He's like ये झूठ क्यों बोलता है? That even Jean Felix का basically Alyssa had confessed to Jean Felix that she will
move away from the gallery.
She will move to the next gallery, and I don't think Jean Felix, he was dramatically upset with the whole thing. So that's
a point कि भाई अगर वो लोग famous तो थे ही कहीं ना कहीं, और Felix it could अभी क्या है कि थियो motives ढूंढ रहा है. So डायरी के हिसाब से इन तीनों का ये तीन मोटिव है कहीं ना कहीं, because Max was obsessed with Alicia, said that he loves her so much and tried to abuse her a couple of times, और उसके बाद जब उसने धमकाया मैक्स को कि मैं गैब्रियल को सब बता दूंगी, then he did kind of threatened her कहीं ना कहीं कि अगर तूने बताया तो देख लियो कैसा होगा. पॉल के साथ वो पैसा वाला सीन हो चुका है, और फिलिक्स के साथ दैट वाज द सीन कि वो ऑलरेडी बोल चुकी थी कि मैं गैलरी से निकलने वाली हूँ. So all three of them had motives.
And by this time, also West. So सबसे पहले what Theo did was he went to this cabin after reading about Dr. West in the diary. He went to the cabin of Dr. C. West, and he came face to face with Christian.
So that was the guy जिस डायरी के थ्रू पता लगता है, and also पता लगता है मैक्स जो है नाम नहीं बताता है पहले, बट मैक्स डज टेल कि जब उसने सुसाइड अटेम्प्ट किया था तो गैब्रियल ने और मैक्स ने मिलके जो है एक डॉक्टर को थेरेपिस्ट को बुलाया था, एंड और घर पे ही इलाज करवाया था, डिड नॉट टेक हर टू द हॉस्पिटल, और उसके साथ ये वर्ड किया था दैट प्लीज डोंट लेट द वर्ड गेट आउट इनटू द पब्लिक, कीप इट वेरी प्राइवेट, एंड द डिटेक्टिव बोल रहा एंड द थेरेपिस्ट एग्रीड एज वेल, एंड देन द थेरेपिस्ट treated her, saw Alicia for a lot months, years sort of.
नहीं 2-3 सेशंस किए,
but इनमें गैप था, बैक टू बैक नहीं.
हाँ गैप था, 2-3 सेशंस हुए थे, पैसे भी लिए थे. So basically this was the biggest motive कि अगर Christian का चीज बाहर आएगा तो he
Yeah.
had not declared his income, so he was hiding
Yeah.
this one.
So no one in the hospital knew that Christian जो है वो Alicia को पहले भी treat कर चुका है, and Christian is hiding that fact into the hospital.
Correct.
और ये किसी को भी नहीं पता अब तक.
And
So that's a motive from Christian POV as well.
yes, so Theo kind of blackmails Christian for information. And then one fine day, and also you have, meanwhile, on his one-on-one session, Alicia ने किसी को हाँ एलिफ की आँख में पेंट ब्रश डाल दिया था. ठीक है.
Maybe that's why they didn't want to give her colors and paintbrushes.
So that happened. And like I think it was also pretty obvious कि होना ही था यार. मतलब कुछ तो उसको
For over the years, if you drug somebody, कुछ ना कुछ तो क्या कहते हैं उसको,
normal
वो symptoms बाद में आते हैं जब आप छोड़ने की भी कोशिश करते हो, जब उनके doses कम किए जाते हैं तो withdrawal symptoms are very
toxic. So that's when I think he talks to Elif, like he tries to talk to her a couple of times. So one such time Elif says कि उसको पूछा गया था कि जब वो आई थी तब तुमने उसको क्या बोला था. तो she's like मैंने उसको सिर्फ इतना पूछा कि were you happy after killing your husband. तो तब अलिसिया भड़क गई थी.
एलिसिया ने तब अटैक जिसके बाद ड्रग्स का ओवरडोज चालू किया गया था स्टार्टिंग में. तो ये पहले भी वो पता करना चाहता था, बट एलिफ भी पहले बात करने को रेडी नहीं थी, तो ओवर द टाइम उसने एलिफ का ट्रस्ट भी जीता. एंड देन ही फाइनली आस्क्ड. तो पहले तो एलिफ मुंह करती रही, बट देन ही इज लाइक सी आई एम नॉट हियर टू फ्रेम यू डाउन, आई एम नॉट हियर टू पुट अ मोटिव, बट आई जस्ट वांट टू नो कि ऐसा क्या हुआ जिसने शायद ट्रिगर किया और शायद नहीं किया. इट्स नॉट योर फॉल्ट. एंड देन एलिफ बिकम कंफर्टेबल एनफ टू टेल. और एलिफ का भी साइको वाला माइंड जो है वो यहाँ कहीं ना कहीं नजर आता है, बिकॉज एलिफ वाज लाइक wanted to know the details कि उसके पति ने ऐसा क्या किया that he deserved to die, and kind of hitting man वाला भी कहीं ना कहीं पता नहीं, but those things were.
And Elif का मतलब it kind of makes sense because she killed her own mother and her sister.
वही चीज तो वो brutal थी, उसको वो brutality की details चाहिए थी.
So that happened. And when the paintbrush thing happened, so Alicia had painted Theo, and Theo was carrying Alicia out of like. So there was this two perspective painting that she painted. So there were flames, and Alicia was in Theo's hand. So it was either he's just rescued her from the flames, or he's putting her. So there was that painting that she did, and उसपे I think Elif ने slut लिख दिया था, उसकी वजह से ये defile कर दी थी painting. So Alicia got very mad about it, and everyone in the hospital was talking that Theo has the hots for Alicia. And Elif was just bold enough to go and tell Alicia only कि अरे तू क्या कर रही है, डॉक्टर को तो पसंद है, ये वो तो पिटेगी ना वो.
Nice perspective. A very nice perspective.
अरे मतलब तुम rational नहीं हो ना.
Very true.
So that happens. And meanwhile, I think हाँ ये हॉस्पिटल में होता है. फिर अगेन हाँ फिर उसका सब कैंसिल कर देते हैं. अलिसिया की थेरेपी 1-on-1 कैंसिल कर देते हैं, इंडिविजुअल थेरेपी कैंसिल कर देते हैं. अलिसिया को आइसोलेशन में भी डालते हैं. And Theo is like out here fighting, but at this point फिर कोई उसकी नहीं सुन रहा होता है. तो वो 2-3 बार अगेन रूल्स ब्रेक करके उसके साथ वो 10-15 मिनट्स बात करता है. And in one such time after Alicia gives the diary, ये इंसिडेंट होता है. तो तब Theo Alicia से बात करता है, और in one such session he confesses कि like he tells her about the diary, and she's not amused. She's like, oh तुझे डायरी दी और तूने ढूंढ ढूंढ के भी ये ढूंढा. So ये होता है.
And then डायरी के अंदर फिर
so लास्ट में जो डायरी में होता है, which is just उसके गैब्रियल के मर्डर के 1-2 दिन पहले की एंट्रीज होती हैं, wherein Alicia is fixated on someone following her, someone watching over her. कोई तो है उसको देख रहा है, कुछ तो कर रहा है. So she never catches a glimpse of the fellow. He's always masked.
It's kind of a shadow for her. कहीं ना कहीं.
And because we know Alicia's past, we also know कि शायद वो सोच रही है, वो हेलुसिनेट कर रही है, और कोई नहीं देखता. जब भी कोई आता है तो वो नहीं होता इंसान वहाँ पे. So even she is not entirely sure that she's seeing someone or not.
And even when she tells Gabriel का पहला reaction was कि he should see a doctor.
Exactly. तो और वो उसको वापस क्रिश्चियन के पास लेके जाता है. And she tries to reason with Christian. She's like, I'm not mad, मैं सच्ची बोल रही हूँ. But Christian does not believe her. उसके लिए मतलब Christian is not even interested to treat her. And वो उसको pills देता है. So now Alicia has two options. Either to like no one's going to believe her. So या तो ये matter को वो खुद solve करे, या तो मतलब she has to pretend to be mad in front of her husband and everything. So she accepts that. She accepts the fate and वो दवाई लेती है, but वो अपने husband के सामने, but वो बाद में spit कर देती है. So at least we know that she's not mad at this point. And another thing was कि उसका जो name होता है, so there's a story behind her name. There is a play because of her name. Basically Alicia or Alestis, जो उसका self portrait का जो name होता है. So Alestis is this very naked self portrait. So there are all her flaws are out there for the world to see. And that self portrait tells a lot about who she is as a person. So it's also interlinked to her situations in the past. So Alestis में this play का story होता है कि basically she like dies to save her husband and then comes back. So, which is very similar to what's happening. Like Alyssa's husband has died, and play maybe वो silent हो जाती है एकदम, and then she comes back. Right, she's reborn or whatever it is, but somehow she comes back, and we know that Alyssa is starting to come back because थोड़ा बहुत वो बात करने लगी है and everything, and
उससे बात करवा दी तुमने अभी. Alicia से
बात करने लगे, communicate
करने लगे.
नहीं मैं build-up करूँगी.
Started to communicate in non-verbal manners.
Yes. So that has started happening, and then ये पहले बोला बाद में बोला Paul जो उसको बताता है.
हाँ.
अभी बोलूँ.
Let's continue.
So जब थियो अपना डिटेक्टिवनेस कर रहा होता है तो पॉल उसको पॉल से मिलना होता है और उसको सडनली याद आता है कि एक चीज़ है जो तान्या ने बोली थी और वो मुझे अभी पूछनी है पॉल को. तो पॉल उसको बोलता है कि ठीक है तो मुझे इस बार में मिल. एंड फिर थियो पूछता है, तभी थियो टेल्स हिम अबाउट द डायरी आल्सो. एंड पॉल इज लाइक कि नहीं मैंने पैसे नहीं लिए ये वो. And then Theo asks him about that day. So he's like, shit, Tanya is very sweet. But मैंने उसको ना बोला था ये बोलने को. तो it's like कि नहीं पता मुझे. तो बोलता है तेरे को घर जाना पड़ेगा उसके लिए. So उसकी मॉम सो रही होती है. And they climb this roof of the house. And there are some like creepers there or something. So he thinks it's ivy, which could be poisonous, but it's jasmine. And right there when Alicia was 10 years old and Paul was, I think, not more than 7 or 8 years old. That place is very tricky to climb. ये लोग बहुत मुश्किल से चढ़े. But you could see everything from there. You could hear everything from there. And Alicia had lost her mom the day before. There was an accident where she was also in the car and her mom. So Alicia had throughout her life also struggled with this, that her mom was like, she was in the car with her mom. So even if her mom tried to commit suicide, for her it was attempted murder because she was there as well. So you can't just not be responsible for someone else's life because she was in no position to commit suicide. So it's murder. But so she was struggling with that. And like her father really loved her mother. So she heard her father say that, why was it not Alicia? And that's when Theo realizes why she's so screwed up, what happened, and why her past was so important. So basically, she was dead to her father because he was okay with her being dead rather than losing his wife. And I think she carried that well into her adulthood. Like, I think she carried that well into her adulthood, as we can, yeah, we can see. And so this is the story that Theo tells Alicia when she looks very unamused with all that he finds in her diary. And That's when she says something. What?
She says like that. लिखा ही ऐसे है.
She says, yes, that's when she starts talking. And then they are not entirely sure whether they should be celebrating at this point. It could just be a one-off instance, ये वो. So वो लोग ये चीज़ पहले तो नहीं बताते हैं. And then eventually they start having one-on-ones and Alyssia is all in. So वो सब बताती है. She starts talking. She couldn't stop talking after that. And Theo knows that he has her trust in everything. एंड एक दो बार वो लोग अटेम्प्ट करते हैं बीच में टू ब्रिंग अप गैब्रियल का डेथ वाला दिन बट शी इज नॉट रेडी बट शी नोज कि नेक्स्ट सेशन में शी हैज टू हाँ से दैट सो देयर इज दैट बिल्ड अप फॉर द लास्ट सेशन एंड सो लास्ट सेशन होता है एंड she even asks for a smoke and that's when Gabriel remembers that borderline से seductive ऐसा उसको Christian ने बोला होता है so she asks for that and they smoke together and finally Alessia breaks her silence to Theo on the night of Gabriel got murdered. और तब Alicia वो बताती भी थोड़ा सा हम she she says that I so he talks to her about her abrupt diary entry end. उसके बाद उसने कुछ लिखा नहीं रहता है. So it's like what happened on the night when your husband died. So she's like कि I was मैं मेरे को ट्रूथ याद आ रहा है वो क्या बोल रही हूँ वो याद नहीं. वही ना कि जो बंदा फॉलो कर रहा था constantly. हाँ. So she confesses to killing her husband. No, she tells कि वो जो constantly follow कर रहा था person. नहीं. In the to Theo she confesses to killing him. कि उसने 6 बुलेट डाल दी जबकि 5 ही. I didn't kill बोला था उसने ना. हाँ. I didn't kill बोला था. I didn't kill. हाँ sorry. I didn't kill my husband. There was that man who was following. वो आया. फिर वो कहानी सुनाती है उसकी. हाँ वो आया और उसने ये मेरे हस्बैंड को बांधा. नहीं उसने वो पहले आता है एंड देन वो काफी वो मतलब आई थिंक आफ्टरनून ऐसे में ही आ जाता है एंड उतने टाइम से फॉलो कर रहा था ही न्यू कि उसका हस्बैंड जो रात को 10 बजे आएगा. ये सच है. हाँ तो नहीं टू थियो she only okay टू थियो mixed this happens when I have not slept in last 24-48 hours. I don't know कितने hours. To Theo, she says that there was a person जो follow कर रहा था वो suddenly आ जाता है रात घुस जाता है and basically वो ही उसके husband को tie करता है and वो 6 की 6 गोली like because उसका husband gun रखता है 6 गोलियां उसके सर पे घुसा देता है. हाँ because उसका husband gun रखता है. This was also a conflict. Alicia didn't want a gun in the house, but उसका explain करती है इसे. हाँ but gun वो रखता है and उसी गन से वो उसको मार के और अलिसिया को बंदूक थमा के चला जाता है and he escapes even before anyone can see him and she was in trauma. हाँ वो एकदम शॉक हो जाती है वो देख के because she actually saw like according to her she saw her husband being murdered. Because she saw her brains being popped open right in front of her and those noise of shotgun old rifle थी उनके घर में. हाँ old rifle. They had a lot of argue about it kind of like कि उनके घर में old rifle थी. तो उसके पापा की थी वो and वो होता है and वो बता देती है and he was like कि ओके कूल ये झूठ बोल रही है. तो उसको तो वो भेज देता है बट देन ही गोज फॉर एन इंटरवेंशन विद डियोमेडिस एंड डियोमेडिस को सब अपने नोट्स देता है सब कुछ लिखता है एंड थियो हैड दिस हैबिट कि जो भी सेशन में होता है वो इमीडिएटली 50 मिनट का सेशन जाके रिकॉर्ड कर देता है मतलब नोट्स बना के. तो वो डियोमेडिस के पास जाता है उसको बोलता है डियोमेडिस इज लाइक तब दे आल्सो हैव अ वेरी रैशनल कन्वर्सेशन वेयर डियोमेडिस इज लाइक कि he she's sexually abusing बोलो she's seducing you and वो चाहती है तुझे जीतना वो चाहती है कि somehow look you in and then get some benefits out of you maybe freedom or maybe anything like that. So he makes him only realize कि this could be true about Alicia एंड मतलब ये इसको भी पता है ये झूठ बोल रही है, तो दोनों कम एट अ कंक्लूजन कि टुमारो वी विल सी व्हाट हैपेंस करके. एंड देन टुमारो कम्स और suddenly Theo walks in the hospital, like the unit, and Alicia is in coma. So ऐसा न्यूज आता है, यूरी जो अलिसिया का केयरटेकर थी था वो he is in distress, Indira is in distress.
And everybody have a separate story कि किसने क्या किया होगा, कैसा हुआ होगा, ऐसा हुआ होगा. जो है ड्रॉर जो है वो ध्यान नहीं रहा, लॉक करना भूल गए, उसकी वजह से शायद निकाल लिया. एलिफ जो है वो थोड़ा स्मगल करती थी, शायद उसने कर दिया. क्रिश्चियन वाला भी आता है कि क्रिश्चियन पहले से सैबोटाज कर रहा था, पहले से झूठ बोल रहा था, तो प्रोबेबली उसने ओवरडोज दे दिया. बट समथिंग has happened and she has been overdosed or she has overdosed herself.
Yes,
so
and
either way
she's in an induced coma and अगर उसको निकाला कोमा से तो no one knows what's going to happen.
जिस पे मैक्स बहुत ज्यादा गुस्सा करता है, चिल्लाता पिल्लाता है आके एकदम से.
So this happens, he goes to meet her, like everyone's like कि तू उसका डॉक्टर है, you are very close to her, go and meet her. वो उसको मिलता है and then he comes to the hall जहाँ पे मतलब the room जहाँ पे ये discussion हो रहा होता है, because already grant खत्म हो गया है, the trust is after shutting this, and अभी ये incident के बाद तो मतलब ये होना ही था. They just wanted like someone to blame and इसको लगा ऐसे blame करेंगे because he pushed her limits and everything. तो ये गया with this full this thing कि हाँ भाई मुझे ही मारोगे, मुझको पता है. But they moved the blame to Yuri कि उसका ध्यान नहीं रहता, वो meticulous नहीं है, उसने बंद नहीं किया, लॉक नहीं किया, and he was like ठीक है चलो मैं यहाँ से बच गया. And वो निकलता है नीचे जाता है मैक्स. Max is like, oh my god, what happened? Uh, why didn't you take care of her? You were supposed to. And he sees that Max is actually devastated and he actually loved her, as we read in the diary. So that was one truth that we can say for sure was such tha. But yeah, then he runs away from Max, but he doesn't follow her. और फिर वो अपने घर जाता है. घर जाता है.
And then Neomedi sir के एक वो discussion भी होता है ना, where is the diary now?
हाँ, नहीं इंदिरा के साथ होता है. डियोमेडिस भी बोलता है
and then he says कि नहीं अभी मेरे पास नहीं है क्योंकि उसने वापस दे दी होती है.
मैंने रिटर्न दे दी है. और फिर वो लोग अलिसिया का जो पूरा रूम है वो क्लियर करते हैं, वो और इंदिरा. एंड इंदिरा टेल्स कि वो सब मतलब जीन फीलिक्स को उसका पेंटिंग वेंटिंग दे देते हैं, एंड इंदिरा को भी उसने ड्रॉ किया रहता है तो वो इंदिरा को दे देता है. And throughout all this, after Indira leaves, he's looking for the diary. He's like कि ये डायरी ही है जिसकी वजह से क्रिश्चियन इंक्रिमिनेट होगा, तो ये डायरी
डियोमेडिस से वो बात करता है and then डियोमेडिस से इसकी हमें प्रूफ चाहिए और प्रूफ के लिए डायरी जरूरी है, so we need to find the diary.
But उसको डायरी मिलती ही नहीं है. वो and he's थोड़ा सा angry at Indira also कि भाई मतलब ये गुस्सा हो जाए कि ये मेरे को डिस्ट्रैक्ट कर दी, ये की वो की. एंड ही somehow couldn't find the diary and इंदिरा उसको पूछती कि तू तेरा पेंटिंग लेके जाएगा क्या. he's like कि नहीं ये थोड़ा डिफाइल हो गया है तो ये मैं उसको दे दूंगा जीन फीलिक्स. एंड to be very honest, he hated that work. So he was like, so he really respected her as an artist as well. And he loved all her paintings, but his own, when he was the subject, he hated that painting. And he hated that work of art. So he was like, I don't want it, I'll give it to Jean Felix. And he comes home to Catherine, and Catherine is very depressed. Somehow she has lost that will to live. She's also put on weight and she barely talks. And he tries to like, you know, uh, talk to her. He's waiting कि शायद अभी बोल दे, अभी confess कर दे, शायद वहाँ से टूट गया है, क्या हो गया है, God knows. But he's not going to be the one to say it सामने से. And then we come across the last entry of Alicia's diary. So the last entry said that I don't think I've been losing my mind. There is actually a man
in the house. और time बहुत कम है. ऐसे में जल्दी से लिख रही हूँ. The guy who was into the shadows has finally shown up into the house. और वो पूरे डिटेल में बताती है कि the guy is actually having conversation first.
So let's just go from Theo's perspective.
Yeah.
So Theo is so like we said, he used to follow his the guy Catherine नाम बोला, the guy Catherine was cheating with, and वो उसके घर पे नजर रखता था, सब करता था, and then suddenly दरवाजा खुलता है, वो उसके घर के बाहर होता है, and he's in the backyard, and that's when he comes face to face with Alicia Brenton for the first time.
The day moment.
So Alicia's entry reads as, I know now that Theo is lying, and Theo also knows that I am lying, and he has injected some shot in me, so I have a...
And the attack that she when उसका डोज थोड़ा कम किया गया था और उसने couple of first therapy के टाइम पे थे उसने जब किया था,
Yes.
that was her reaction to I can't believe this
Man is
guy is sitting in
sitting
front of you
me. She
so
remembered
much,
the eyes.
you know.
But
Yeah. He
then
has so much guts to sit in front of me right now, and she wanted to kill her right then.
yes,
Kill him right
kill
there.
him right there. And she confesses to the whole thing. So this man Theo had been following her, and he was the one who broke in at
To the
her
house.
house that night, and
That's how Theo knew कि एलिसिया झूठ बोल रही है जब
Yes.
एलिसिया ने बोला कि उस बंदे ने क्या क्या किया,
Exactly.
because it was Theo जिसने जो कुछ किया,
Exactly.
और फिर वो डायरी एंट्री में पता लगता है कि Theo ने क्या किया.
Exactly. So वो सच है. And basically Theo went in, and he was masked, so Alicia just saw his eyes and could only hear his voice, nothing else. She didn't see his face. That's why she didn't realize कि वो ही
Had gloves
therapist
on as well.
तो वो हुआ, and Theo was taking his own sweet time with it.
Knife
उसको-
and gloves on, और वो पहले ही पिन करके दिखता है.
हाँ. So he was also taking his own sweet
Must
time.
sweet time. And he knew everything कि वो कब वापस आएगा, रात को 10 बजे आएगा.
हाँ.
So he comes in and he's like, beer है क्या, मैं beer पिएगा.
हाँ.
सही चल रहा है भाई. मैं आया मर्डर करने है, पर पहले थोड़ा बियर हो जाए, चाय हो जाए, बातें कर लेते हैं, थोड़ी सी और दुख सुना यार, क्या चल रहा है लाइफ में. पेंटिंग नहीं बन रही, मैं बनाता हूँ यार, कोई नहीं, मर्डर होता रहेगा, तुम बैठ तो तू चिल तो कर. ये सही चल रहा है उसका.
हाँ, and he asked her about Gabriel, and she's telling him हम इस time पे मिले, like she's buying herself time. She's contacting Gabriel. Gabriel is like मुझे late होने वाला है, जबकि to be very honest, I think he's cheating on her.
उस मोमेंट पे भी
हाँ,
most
उस
probably
moment
very
पे।
highly possible,
Yes.
क्योंकि थियो भी नहीं है वहाँ पे और गैब्रियल अचानक से बोल देता है मुझे लेट होने वाला है.
Shoot पे जाना है, late होने वाला है, मैं 10 बजे के पहले नहीं आऊँगा, and she hangs up
11
the
आता है बस.
hangs up the phone and she's like, my husband will be home in 10 minutes. In fact, वो 10 बजे के पहले नहीं
नहीं
आएगा.
आएगा. That also apart, क्योंकि I think वो उसको कैथी भी बोल के निकली होती है ना, तो उसको पता होता है, तो श्योर थे कि हो रहा है.
So then he ties Alicia and tie करता है ना.
He ties her up and she says कि killing me would have been better, but he did worse.
Yes, so he did that, and then ऐसे ही वो रखता है उसको. He doesn't use her or anything. Doesn't.
He did.
Oh yeah. He did use.
वो
her.
explain तो करती है with every
Yeah.
she, the ropes kept kept getting tighter and tighter with every time she would, her legs would get shaken up.
So that happened. Then he releases her, उसको छोड़ देता है. और फिर जब उसका पति का गाड़ी आता है, गैब्रियल का कार आता है ड्राइवर में, तो he releases her. He tells her to hide, and he tells her to not make any noise, otherwise he will kill Gabriel. And then Gabriel walks in, Theo puts the house in darkness, and Gabriel is like, okay, Alicia ने क्या किया?
और इस बीच में Alicia also tries to grab the gun.
हाँ,
but वो गन जो होती है वहाँ नहीं होती है क्योंकि वो
Theo ने ले ली.
Theo के पास होती है.
So that happened, and so ये भी मुझे सरप्राइजिंग लगा था कि जब उसने वो गन वहाँ रखी, तभी भी थियो ने वो देखा क्या? क्योंकि how did Theo know कि वहाँ पे?
हाँ, उसने इतना फॉलो कर रहा था तो probably पता होगा.
So that happened. Then उसने Alicia को छुपा दिया, and then Gabriel आया.
और also could be a possibility कि जब ये लोग सोते हैं, Theo might have broken in between couple of times to see everything, घर में क्या चीज कहाँ है and all.
Could be.
Because उसने बोला बहुत बार Alicia ने कि presence feel हुई, shadow वाली चीज, और बहुत oversight करता था, बहुत दिखता था, बहुत follow करता था and all. So बहुत strongly हो सकता है कि Theo अपना काम धाम छोड़ के वहीं था.
Could be.
constantly.
So that happened. Then Gabriel आता है. Gabriel उसको लगता है कि Alicia, मतलब उसको नहीं पता ना कि उसके घर में कोई और है. And suddenly lights on होती है and उनको like दोनों चिल्ला रहे होते हैं ये वो, तो उनको चुप कराने के लिए थियो सीलिंग में एक गोली एक शॉट मारता है. And he is like कि Gabriel, I give you an option. If one of you will live, you decide. तुझे उसको मारना है कि तुझे जिंदा रहना है.
और वो गिनता है काउंटडाउन ना.
Yes, and he starts from 10, 9.
पहले तो इज लाइक नहीं ऐसा नहीं होता, ये नहीं होता, कुछ नहीं है, वो
even Alicia is constantly like he will not kill me. तुम डरो मत, don't choose this ये वो and everything. And Gabriel suddenly goes like कि I don't want to die. So it's the throwback. It's not the throwback that we want, but it's that whole trauma trigger wherein her father said, and
it would have been better अगर Alicia हो.
Exactly. So I don't think after his murder she got stunned and shocked into silence. It was at this point when she got shocked and stunned into silence, and Theo realized this. Theo was like,
that was his master plan.
Yeah, no, he didn't know ना उसका trauma. So Theo ने वो गन छोड़ दी और वो निकल गया. And he was like, now you do what you want to do. You kill him, you live with him. That's all.
That's what wanted to.
Yeah.
और वो वहाँ पे सारी स्टोरी सुनाता है गैब्रियल के पूरे अफेयर की. गैब्रियल के सामने उन दोनों को. And he didn't want to murder, but he wanted to break them apart. उसके बाद जो कुछ हुआ,
then he leaves after that, and there's this gun between them, and yeah, suddenly there are 5 shots in Gabriel's head, and then Gabriel is dead. So Alicia does kill Gabriel, and then makes a self-portrait. So she kind of brings her उसके पहले वाला portrait through. So her previous portrait was that Jesus is on the cross, but it's not Jesus, it's her husband. Somewhere I think her consciousness worked too.
और यही वो कहते हैं ना जो पुलिस वाले होते हैं कि उसने वो पेंटिंग बनाई थी तो वो बहुत टाइम से प्लान कर रही थी मर्डर करने का.
Correct. So that was like वो तो hearsay है कि हाँ उसका होगा प्लान नहीं होगा, but it was a spur of the moment and a very impulsive thing. Like before this, Alicia didn't know that her husband was cheating, and also that her husband would choose him over her.
And then current time span में थे वो जो है वो अपने घर पे होता है and वही उसकी वाइफ के साथ he still been waiting कि भाई कुछ इतने सालों के बाद भी
6 years हो गए
उसकी वाइफ जो है बात करेगी जो अफेयर था गैब्रियल के साथ उसके बारे में, would apologize or something like that, but obviously वो चीजें नहीं हो रही हैं. And then suddenly he hears a knock on the door, bell knock on the door, और वो खोलता है and it was the inspector जो ये पूरा केस जो है वो चला रहा होता है, क्योंकि अभी एलिसा का फिर से वो सुसाइडल वाला सीन आ गया है, तो वो जो केस पूरा चल रहा होता है क्रिश्चियन पे भी वो लोग ब्लेम डाल चुके थे सब कुछ. तो पुलिस बोलता है कि मैं जो हूँ नेबर से गुजर रहा था, आई वाज इन द नेबरहुड, सो आई जस्ट केम आउट टू डिस्कस वन थिंग विद यू व्हिच आई फाइंड इज अ वेरी इंटरेस्टिंग डिस्कवरी अबाउट द केस. तो वो उसको अंदर बुला लेता है एंड देन इट्स लाइक वो कुछ लोग भी क्या चलो मैं बनाता हूँ, और फिर वो कुछ गर्मी ठंडी की बातें करते हैं व्हिच इज वेरी नॉन रेलेवेंट, प्रोबेबली रेलेवेंट.
No, it's actually very relevant.
I can understand.
No, in the cultural set of things, this whole thing is a very British thing. Okay, so the British people are very polite about it. वो क्रिमिनल को पकड़ने आए होंगे तो they'll be like चलो चाय पिला दो. So it's a हाँ. So no, weather is also like Europeans have this thing with the weather. They bring up their weather in every conversation. It's a cultural thing. I'm not kidding. It's a cultural thing. I will show you proof also. There is this person, हम 2 दिन पहले इसके बारे में बात कर रहे थे. There is this person. She also pointed out on Instagram that Europeans have this thing. Even when they're like signing off, they'll be like, "Warm regards from cold Sarajevo," or something from rainy Michigan. Like some place that they will say because.
Can understand.
Yeah. So weather की बातें और चाय ऑफर करना is very European, and I felt it in this book. I was like, और कुछ सही हो ना हो, इससे ये चीज एकदम नेल की है कि.
और लास्ट का पढ़ना बनता है. I think पढ़ना बनता है.
Yes.
हाँ. तो थियो को वो बताता है कि डायरी मिल गई है उसकी.
Yeah.
और फिर वो डायरी जो है कि लास्ट के जो है वो साथ में पढ़ते हैं.
And initially थियो बहुत खुश होता है. कि हाँ अभी फाइनली क्रिश्चियन को इंक्रिमिनेट करने का एविडेंस मिल गया है सो बिकॉज ही हैज नो आइडिया अबाउट द लास्ट डायरी.
So the inspector stroked the creased, faded black cover and smiled. He opened it and looked through the pages. Fascinating, the arrows, the confusion. I nodded. A portrait of a disturbed mind. Inspector Allen flicked through the pages to the end. He started reading from it aloud. He was scared of the sound of my voice. He grabbed my wrist and stuck a needle in my vein. I felt a sudden rising panic. I didn't know those words. I had not read that entry. It was the incriminating evidence I had been looking for, and it was in the wrong hands. I wanted to snatch the diary from Ellen and tear out the pages, but I couldn't move. I was trapped. I started stammering. I really think it's better if I spoke too nervously, and he heard the fear in my voice. Yes, nothing. I made no further attempt to stop him. Any action I took would be viewed as incriminating anyway. There was no way out, and the strangest thing is, I felt relieved. You know, I don't believe you happen to be in my neighborhood at all, Inspector. I handed him the tea. Ah, no, you are right. I thought it'd be best not to announce my intention of my visit on the doorstep, but the fact is, this put things in rather a different light. I'm curious to hear it. I heard myself saying, will you read it aloud? Very well. I felt strangely calm as I sat in the chair by the window. He cleared his throat and began. Theo just left. I am alone. I'm writing this as fast as I can. As I listened, I looked up at the white clouds drifting past. Finally, they had opened. It had started to snow. Snowflakes were falling outside. I opened the window and reached out my hand. I caught a snowflake. I watched it disappear, vanish from my fingertip. I smiled, and I went to catch another one. That's it. और अभी मुझे वो हो रहा है दिस ऑल्सो इज दैट रेफरेंस टू जो वो फादर का वो बनाते थे स्नो वाली चीज ही जंप्ड बैक
You realize that now?
या या ही वो
Why would I put that in the podcast if it wasn't relevant towards the end?
वो लास्ट में he has transformed to that moment पूरा पूरा कहना और ये दिखाता है that that's the trauma इनके वो ट्रॉमा की वजह से ही इतना सब कुछ पूरा पूरा हुआ है.
That's why I said it's his father who's
Yeah, but
responsible.
oh, so
That is it. 2 hours, 1.5 hours.
it took time. It's good. It's amazing. It's good. हाँ.
So, yes, any closing thoughts?
I'll say you read it. मुझे बहुत मजा आया पढ़ने में कहीं ना कहीं. It's not something that probably you would run through like immediately कि ओ आगे क्या वो आगे क्या वो आगे क्या वो करते हुए probably. But it's satisfying enough if you read it through. अगर आपको and it's fun. It's fun. It's not fun wala fun. It's a fine read. It's a nice read. I'll say it's a good read. You can take your time with it. बीच बीच में आप पढ़ सकते हो आराम से. There is not so many things happening कि आपको बहुत सी चीजें याद रखनी है. So if you put this book down and pick it up later, तो आप सब कुछ भूल जाओगे kind of. And also, yeah, just वो एक ही twist जो है that's enough for the book to be grasping and hold its value probably for me at least. For me. Or rather, I'll give you a better advice. Watch this podcast. Simple.
Yes.
You'll know everything about the book, bro.
But yeah, if you're looking for a very quick page turner, this is not it. This will take its time. It's I have read these kind of books, so I don't feel like it's a very good commentary also on the mental health perspective. So, ठीक है, they've done a decent job, and yeah, I mean it's very hyped. Maybe that's where my expectations were hurt.
Probably.
Hurted. So this book hurted me. But yeah, that's my take on this. It's a decent read, but if you have other books on your to be read list, then watch this podcast.
And suggest us down which book we should discuss next, which book you would want us to read, and we'll come back with that book. Until that time, thank you for watching. Thank